What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode with me, Tyson the Trainer. So today I'm just going to share some random nutrition tips that I think will be helpful in regards to meal prepping, in regards to weighing, tracking food, just like some things that I think just be some helpful tips for you guys. So there's going to be no particular order. These are kind of just things that have popped into my head that I'm like, you know what? I made some videos about this recently. I think it's just going to be good to share it all in one big podcast to kind of get off the bat there. So we're going to start off with tracking your food, all right? Now, as you guys know, I'm a big advocate of tracking to start off with, okay? I do not think people should be tracking food for the rest of their life. In fact, I really fucking do not want people to do that. I want food to be used as an educational tool for you to track and weigh, to understand what food is made up of, what calories are in food, what foods contain protein, carbs, and fats, what foods are high in calories, low calories, just those type of things, right? Once you get that good understanding and you begin to become nutritionally literate, you should be moving away from tracking. That is the end goal, okay? Because fuck living a life having to track food for the rest of your life, and also you don't need that accuracy, okay? People are like, oh, you know, can you still lose weight without tracking? Yes. Like, surprise, surprise, we had people losing weight a lot before we had the invention of fucking MyFitnessPal or tracking and anything else. So it can be done. And most importantly, it's not that like you shouldn't be tracking when you're dieting, because if you need that accuracy, you do it. But it's more about when you're at maintenance and also anything else, like, or you've finished your dieting phase. When I say maintenance, I mean like you're no longer dieting. I don't mean like you're in a maintenance phase for a certain period of time and you go back to dieting. Like, it's just basically done with dieting is what I'm trying to say. This is the perfect time to move away from tracking, okay? So with that being said, when you are first weighing, tracking, measuring your food, you should be guesstimating as you weigh and track your food. So what I mean by this is when you are, let's say you're gonna, cut up some chicken and you're gonna cut it up into 150 grams per, you got a big breast there, you're gonna cut up to 3 150 gram servings, okay? Well, firstly, when you're doing this, you actually don't have to weigh that chicken breast. If you got it at the butcher's and you know it's 450 grams and you're going to use that whole thing, then it's like you just cook that and then you divide it in the number of meals you're going to have. And that's a simple way to actually save yourself time. So if you're like, oh, you know, I have to weigh out 150 grams each. No, you don't. All you have to do is cook the chicken, divide it into a number of meals. Let's say you're going to have it over 3 meals. So 450 divided by 3 is 175. Is that right? 354. I think so. Is that right? 150, 350. No, it's 150 grams each. Sorry, my fault. And it's done. All right. Simple way. So that's first time save if you do that. Secondly, though, let's say you are going to portion up sizes or whatever you're going to do. Before you put that on a food scale, you should guess how much the weight is. Okay. What you're trying to do here is teach yourself what portion sizes look like of roughly an amount. All right. So it's like, you're like, oh, I'm going to guess this is 100 grams. It's 130. That's pretty close, right? The better you get at it, the more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. Same thing with like, you know, you're going to weigh out a tablespoon of peanut butter, or a teaspoon of peanut butter, I should say. When you realize what 20 grams is, you're going to fucking be depressed. However, when you start to guess what that looks like before you put it on the scale, or again, you know how people put the, what do? They put the peanut butter on there, they tear it. Is that what they do? Yeah, they tear it to 0, then they take out the amount and put it back, and then it tells you how much is left over, right? So what you should do, if you do that, you tear it, whatever, you take it off the scale, you're like, all right, this is going to be 20 grams. Put it back. What was it? Oh, it was 17 grams. Pretty fucking close. That's good. If it was 40 grams, we got an issue, okay? So it's like we want to practice weighing your food and guessing before you weigh it, so you're getting better at guesstimating portion sizes. Because what this is doing is then allowing you to actually start to think when you're eating food, when you're measuring food, when you're prepping food, and what that actually looks like overall. This is why when I sit down and look at a meal, or a client sends me a meal and they're like, hey, how many calories do you think this is? I can quite accurately tell them very closely how many calories are in that. 1, because I tracked for so long when I was neurotic, but 2, because I guessed, like, started teaching myself about that, about what portion sizes look like. So I can sit and look at a burger and that's why I know most takeaway meals, they're roughly between 800 to 1,000 calories. Even if they're quote unquote healthy, because we think about, like, you know, we've got to consider everything that's there, like how much oil is it cooked in, were these each components of each food. So I can throw this stuff together in my brain. So if someone has a plate of something, or they show me a burger and I'm like, okay, tell me what's on the burger. Because it's like, we got the bun, we got the meat, we got the, let's say the cheese that's on it, how there's going to be like obviously a salad or a tomato, whatever it's going to be, and then there's going to be some sauce. So like I can mentally calculate in my head, I'm like bang, 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 bang. I know what that is. And so it gives clients an idea about how they can start to do it for themselves too. And the same thing for you. You'll get better at this. You'll get better at guesstimating the more you practice it. And this is the goal, because when you're trying to maintain your weight loss, what you're trying to do is get close enough. This is the good enough guide, right? This is the good enough goal, I should say, pardon me. The good enough goal is to be close enough, because maintenance is a range. It's not an exact number. It's not exactly 2,000 calories. You've got between, like, you know, based on how active you are, you probably got about 10% variable range up and down. So it's like, if you're guesstimating, let's say you're getting close and you're 30 calories off here and you're 20 calories off there, for the day, throughout the week, nothing's going to change. You know, as long as you're not underestimating by 200 to 300 calories, that's actually then causing a slight surplus, you're going to be fine. So this is why we want to start practicing this while you are first weighing, tracking, and measuring your food, to build up that education to then move you away from it overall. All right. In saying that too, when you're weighing and tracking, measuring your food, weigh and track and measure everything raw, okay? The reason for this is this gives you the most accurate idea of what the calories are in food, okay? Now, here's the thing. If you cook something, all right, if you're gonna get something that's cooked, don't freak out. It is what it is. You've already just, you know, it is. Like, next time, try and weigh it raw if you can. When you're going to search that up in an app, if you are tracking it, look up, let's say it's chicken cooked, you know, chicken breast cooked, okay? Chicken thigh cooked, whatever it's going to be, cooked, right? Write that in there. If it's raw, write in raw, okay? Because the calories do significantly differentiate. Now, when you're going to be measuring something that's already pre-cooked, make sure there's a little bit of fat added to that food, because most likely the way you cooked it, you use cooking oil, which, you know, is going to be 2 to 4 grams per 100 grams, all right? Based on obviously how much oil you're using. So if you look up chicken breast cooked, and it says per 100 grams cooked, it says 25 grams of protein, it says 4 grams of fat, and like 0 grams of carbs. That's pretty accurate. It's gonna have fat in there, okay? A raw chicken breast will have like 1 gram of fat, okay, per 100 grams, and be about 22 grams of protein. But now that it's been cooked in oil, it will increase its fat content. So make sure if you are looking up cooked options, that it does have a little bit of fat in there. Same thing as like if you bake a potato, you're gonna have oil on it. If you're gonna boil a potato, it's not gonna have oil on it. So it's like if you looked up, you know, potatoes boiled, it should say 0 fat. If you have potatoes baked, it should have like 2 to 4 grams of fat per 100 grams, just so you know how to do that, okay? So that's what you wanna do between cooked and raw. Now, also in saying that, going back to, let's say you're creating a meal for your family, okay? How are you supposed to, like, you know, how are you supposed to know your portions for that? You need to think about how many portions you would have eaten from that meal. Okay, just for you, not for the rest of the family. So if you make something and it's to you, it's 5 portions, then you just portion yourself out 1/5 of that meal, okay? Let your family have the rest, and then you track it as 1/5. You don't need to weigh it out. You don't need to measure, just eyeball what 1/5 looks like. Again, good enough is the goal here. You don't need to fucking weigh out the whole dish once it's cooked and then divide it by 5. Like, fuck, we don't want to get into that nitty gritty detail, okay? You track it as 1/5, and that's what it is. Or if, again, if it looks like a third, you track it as a third. Whatever that is, that's how you track it. It keeps it very simple. We don't want to be obsessing about this stuff here. I don't want you neurotically, you know, doing every fucking tiny thing. It's not worth it. All right? Another thing with weighing and tracking, measuring food. Packaged food does not need to be weighed, tracked, and measured, okay? When I say packaged food, what do I mean by that? Like bread, okay? You don't need to measure 2 slices of bread. Or weigh 2 slices of bread, sorry. Like Mission tortilla wraps or any tortilla wrap. You don't need to fucking individually weigh each wrap. If you get a box of shapes, you don't weigh the shapes. If you get a little packet of shapes. If you get a muesli bar, you don't fucking weigh the muesli bar. That is neurotic shit right there, okay? And people are like, oh, well, you know, sometimes it can be heavier. Okay, here is a great thing that you guys need to learn about the law of averages, right? Go and get any of these items and start weighing use the whole box or whatever you're gonna use, like the whole bread loaf, whatever it is. You're gonna see sometimes it's heavier, sometimes it's lighter. Guess what? It's gonna average out. Let's say 2 slices of bread is 62 grams, okay? So you get 68 grams, and then tomorrow you get 54 grams, and the day after you get 62 grams, and the day after that you get 67 grams, and the next day you get 60 grams. Well, guess what? It's all evening out, okay? Averages. The only thing anyone has ever picked me off about this, anyone has ever gotten me wrong about this, is the Coles and the Woolies bread rolls you can get, like the home brand ones. It says like one serving size is 60 grams and you weigh it and it's like 2.5 servings. Like each roll is like 130, 140 grams. So I get that, all right, fair enough. But I've not seen anything else be anywhere close to that inaccuracy, okay? Like food labels have to have close to an accuracy, okay? So anything that's packaged like that and that you can literally get an individual serving out of, don't worry about it. Now, obviously, like, you know, packaged food. Cereal, you're going to have to fucking weigh cereal, you know, because it's got 10 servings in there. But if it's individual servings, it doesn't matter. All right, I'm telling you that right now. Don't fucking get into this headspace. Like, oh, I got to weigh my protein bar because it says 41 grams here, but it's 43 grams here, and that's another extra 20 calories a day. Okay, well, fuck me dead, right? Like, this is where we're getting too much in the head case side of things. So do not fall down this neurotic tendency. This is literally obsession. It's the same thing that people track their Monster Energy, okay? Their 13 calorie Monster Energy, or their black coffee that's 4 calories. Like, it takes energy to break down food, okay? The 4 calories it would take to drink the coffee to be broken down would be a net negative. It's nothing. It's not gonna fucking be the issue. Like, oh, you know what? It was actually you're eating chewing gum. You're eating 2 pieces of chewing gum a day and you're having a black coffee. That's what's stopping your weight loss. No, it's not, all right? Don't get stuck in these little things, okay? We're looking, like, obviously, like, do you want to track stuff? Yes. But if you're eating a packet of fucking chewing gum a day, different story. If you're drinking 6 Red Bulls a day, different story. Because, you know, each Red Bull is like 14, 15 calories times 6, like, that's 100 calories extra. That stuff adds up. But if you're having like 1 fucking black coffee a day or 2 sugar-free Monster Energy drinks, they're not the thing that's going to be holding back your fat loss. And they don't need to be fucking tracked. They're 11 calories, for fuck's sake. All right? Any other nutrition tips with that? Yes, when tracking your fruits and veggies, okay? Per 100 grams, fruits are going to be very close to each other. Strawberries are the lowest, I'm quite sure. Strawberries and cantaloupe, and the highest is bananas, okay? But even like when you look per 100 calories, it's not 100 grams, it's not like fucking hundreds of calories difference. The same thing with veggies. The difference is going to be starchier veggies like potatoes that'll be higher in calories, but everything else is quite close when it comes to per 100 grams. So what I recommend clients do, and what I recommend you do, instead of weighing each individual fucking veggie out, look up bird's eye stir fry supreme, okay? Or just look up bird's eye stir fry, it'll come up. Because that has 7 different types of vegetables in there. It's got cauliflower, broccoli, beans, peas, corn, pineapple, and something else. I can't remember, okay? It's got 7 different types of veggies in there. And then it's just averaged out what that is per 100 grams. Perfect. Use that for anything. So let's say you weigh out 50 grams of tomato, 60 grams of spinach, 70 grams of mushrooms. Just use that 1 stir fry entry for the total volume of the weight, okay? Same thing with fruit, apart from bananas, because again, they're slightly higher in calories. And with veggies, apart from potatoes. With fruit, look up Woolworths Summer Fruit Blend. I'm pretty sure it's called. I can't remember off the top of my head. Look up the Summer Fruits mix, and then use that as the per 100 grams for any of your fruits. It just saves you time having to individually enter in apple, pear, you know, fuck, they're all close together. Use those things, they save you a lot of time, okay? So you're not tracking 6 different fucking vegetables. You're just using stir fry, it's a total of 600 grams, you're writing 600 grams for the day. Using fruit, it's a total of 300 grams of fruit, you just put in 300 grams of fruit for the day. Boom, sweet, happy days. That's all you need from that side of things, all right? Really simple things that we can just make tracking a lot easier and be less neurotic overall, just to make life a little bit fucking easier, okay? So that's that side of things. Now let's talk about meal preparation, okay? When you're meal prepping, what I recommend, this is just my personal preference. You can make meals for the week, you know, you can make your lunches and your dinners and stuff like that. Or what you can do is cook up individual things. So like I've got a container just full of chicken cooked. I've got a container full of pumpkin, a container full of potatoes, a container full of mince, a container full of white rice, and a container full of pasta. So whatever I fucking feel like, do I feel like a chicken pasta today? Or do I feel like mince with potato and veggies, you know, potato and pumpkin. Do I feel like rice with chicken today, stir fry? Or do I feel like having a, what's mince and rice called? I think there's a name for that. I can't remember. We have options there. So like that's one way you can actually change up your meal prep if you don't want to create individual meals. For me, that works better because it's just what I feel like on the day. I mix shit together. It keeps the variation the same. I know it's going to be 120 to 150 grams of meat, whether it be the chicken or the beef, which is quite close in calories. And then I know that I'm going to either have pasta or rice, whatever it's going to be like. It's going to be roughly the same amount of calories, okay? So like this way just kind of saves a little bit of energy. Like when you look at 100 grams of pasta cooked, which is actually quite a lot, versus 100 grams of rice, like, you know, they're going to be carbohydrate amounts there, but you're having 120 grams of chicken or 120 grams of 95% lean beef mince or even steak with low fat, they're going to be roughly the same amount of calories. So you don't actually have to be stressing so much with like, oh, I'm only going to have this amount of calories. Like it's probably going to be between 400 to 600 calories per meal anyways. So we're trying to keep these averages the same. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Another way, if you are meal prepping on a Sunday, and let's say you are making meals, make one extra meal each time to keep in the freezer. What this is going to do is always create basically like an emergency plan, if we could call it that, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, a backup meal. The days you come home where you forget to meal prep, you got something in the fridge. The day you come home on the weekend because you've been somewhere and you forgot to go food shopping, you got something in the freezer. The day where you get home and you can't be fucked cooking anything and you're like, oh, what am I going to have? You got something in the freezer. Easy backups. Not only that, if you're doing that every week, because if you are rotating your foods, let's say you're having different lunches or dinners. So like last week you made a chicken stir fry, you made one extra. This week you're making spaghetti bolognese, you make one extra. The week after you're making just steak and veggies real simple, you make one extra. Now you have options in the freezer. So on the days you can't be fucked and you get home and you're like, oh, I don't want to have chicken stir fry. Great, you got two different options there. So all I'm trying to really do is mitigate your bullshit excuses so you've always got options there. And having those as backups makes life way fucking easier. You know, like, oh, I can't, like, one of the biggest excuses I have is, oh, I forgot to meal prep, I've got to do this. Okay, well, build a contingency plan in place. Have something a little bit extra. I'm having sugar-free cordial at the moment. The apple and raspberry one, is it? The mixture one? Fuck, it's good. Delicious. Cottage cordial. Anyways, so that's a really good option for you guys to do. Just pre-make a meal ahead of time, okay? Also, in saying that, don't just meal prep in the fridge. Again, freeze some stuff. If you meal prep on Sunday from Monday to Friday, you got those 2 extra days, Thursday, Friday, keep it in the freezer. So you can grab it out on Wednesday night, it's defrosted by Thursday morning to take. Or again, take it out Thursday morning, keep it in the fridge until lunchtime. You cook it a little bit longer, it is what it is. Don't just meal prep until Wednesday, okay? Because again, we don't want food to go off in the fridge, but at the same time, you don't want to get to Wednesday and have nothing. Unless you can dedicate time on a Wednesday to go and do a little bit of extra meal prep. I don't know if you can or not, but if you don't want to waste time, cook that stuff, keep it in the freezer. Tupperware I would recommend is, you know those red containers with the clear lids, the bubbly clear lids you can get from Woolies and Coles? They've kind of got like that little red air vent thing that you click on the top. They're really good. They're freezer safe, okay? So you can put them in there. I think they last like a month or 2 months in the freezer, which, again, you don't want frost burn, so consuming those meals within 1 or 2 months, but they're really, really good storage options. And again, they're quite small. Like, don't get the huge ones, so otherwise it'll take up too much freezer space. But getting one that's just it's like a great portion size. Tupperware too. Obviously, you know, you can't bulk load a lot of shit in there, so it'll keep your portions good. It'll keep your food safe from freezer burn, and again, it's a great storage option. So I would recommend that for Tupperware. With another option for meal prep, if you can, make like a Wednesday or a Thursday, whatever's gonna be better for you, as like a midweek quick shop, okay? So like my midweek quick shop on a Wednesday is getting fresh meat for dinner on Thursday and Friday, okay? And like getting some extra fresh veggies, and that's it. Like they're the only things that I do. Really simple stuff. So it takes me like fucking, like, you know, 10 minutes to get into the shop to get it done. I'm not going for a huge second food shop. I make sure that on Sunday is like the bigger shop where we get everything else for the week. And then on Wednesday, it's real quick stuff, all right? So again, usually it's just covering our dinners for the rest of the, for Thursday, Friday, which is very quick. So if you do have time, try and make it a midweek shop. If not, again, this is why we do a really big shop on Sunday. Now, speaking of shopping, I've got some shopping tips for you. Number 1, create a list the shit that you get all the time, okay? Like, just make a list. If you don't know what list to get, next time you go food shopping, every time you get something, put it in your list. I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, my mum used to give me a list to go to the shops because she hated food shopping, so she made me do it because I loved it. She'd give me a list, I'd go in there, I'd follow the list, I knew what to get, all right? Do the same thing for yourself. Now, you don't have to take a physical list, you can use your notes app on your phone. Simple, okay? The way I have my list done, this is fucking very analytical of me, I guess you would say. I started to pay attention to how much stuff I was using for the week, all right? Then what I would do is not only write out the food that I need for the week, but also write out the quantity of it, okay? So I know that I drink 1 coconut water a day, 1 liter, like 1 bottle of coconut water a day, okay? So guess how many I need for the week? 7, right? Pretty simple, right? However, I would go and buy 4 fucking coconut bottles and then I'd get to like Thursday and I have to go get more. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why don't I get 7? Easy. I'm only going to the shops once for that. How many times am I eating tuna a week? That's how many cans I need to get for tuna, okay? Is tuna on special? Ooh, I'll double up this week, all right? Simple things like that. Write out your quantities because you know certain things that you'll probably keep in the house for like a week or 2, which, you know, is occasional. There's stuff you use every week and you know you use a certain quantity of stuff. So that way, when you write the quantity in your list, you know what to always get. And especially with that non-perishable stuff on sale, get the stuff on sale, okay? Saves you a lot of fucking time. Not only when you're doing that, when you write the list and you create the quantities, what I also do is the way I set the list out is I set the list out based on how I go through Woolies, okay? Now, look, I'm a Woolies shopper. However, I'm with Virgin Velocity Points and like I'm slowly going over to Coles, and I personally think Coles is getting better options in my personal opinion, but you know, that's neither here nor there. So I know, I just like can close my eyes and know exactly where Woolies is, like what's in Woolies, because I've been fucking shopping there, the same Woolies for like 9 years, all right? So I go in and I write down all the veggies first that we need, because veggies are first on the list. Then I write down the dairy options we need, because milk is second. So I'm like, you know, get my milk, get my yogurts, get the low-fat cheese, the bigger cheese. I know that stuff that we've got to go on. The next one is the bread and cereal aisle. The next aisle is the like the snacky biscuits and stuff, long life milk, all your spreads and stuff. Then sorry, it's your snacky biscuits. Then after that, it's your soft drink aisle. Then after that, it's your chips aisle, blah, 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 okay? So then I write down in that order what we need. So then that way I'm not getting to the end of the store and be like, fuck, I gotta go back and get milk. Again, it's not a mission to go back and get milk, but however, if I can be efficient and just know, did I get everything in this aisle? Yes, sweet, I'll move to the next one. It's just easier to get through the list that way, okay? So that's just one thing that's worked for me. You know, you could group stuff in certain ways if you want to, whatever's gonna work for you, but I just know if it's easier, I know basically the top of my list is from the entrance, the bottom of my list is basically at the end of the store. That makes it a lot easier for me to navigate and know what I need to get so I don't miss anything on the list, okay? And then, again, when I write on the quantities, I will also just write down in the very bottom bits if it's stuff that I don't get every week, okay? So like, I don't get sauce every week. We don't go through a whole bottle of sauce every week. But I'll write sauce down the bottom because then if I'm like, fuck, I need to get it this week, I'll put a little check mark next to it that I need to get it. Just like a simple little thing like that. And again, it saves you time. You go in, you know what you're gonna get, you get out. And the good thing about this is if you set yourself a rule that you're not gonna get anything that's not on the list, it keeps you more behaved, all right? So simple little ways just to make your food shopping more efficient, but to keep you more on track too, okay? That's how I do it anyways when it comes to food shopping. So then on, again, I know what I gotta get for the week, so I buy enough quantity that's gonna be good for the week, all right? The thing I don't do with that is with the fresh veggies too. Like I'll get fresh veggies, but then I also have a few veggies that I'll want to pick up on a Wednesday just because, you know, fresh veggies go off quick. I always get frozen veggies anyways because I like the frozen veggie options. However, in saying that, sometimes I do like to get more fresh veggies too, especially if there's ones you can't get frozen. I'll just get them on my Wednesday. And like, again, my Wednesday is like 10 minutes. I know I got to go in, I got veggies, I got the meat we got to get. We might need like, you know, I might be running halfway through my sauce or whatever it is now. I got like 5 things I need to get. It takes me 10 minutes. A really big time saver for that. So that's just some grocery options, grocery tips for you guys. And then along with that, when you're meal prepping, make it enjoyable, okay? Like if there's anything you can do to make it more enjoyable, you'll more likely do it. The first thing I say is get it done earlier than usual. Because if you can get it done early, you got the whole day to do whatever. Don't be like, oh, I got a meal prep at 2 o'clock, but you want to go see your friends. Obviously, you're not going to fucking meal prep. You're going to go see your friends. So get it done super early or get it done later in the evening. Whatever is going to be more likely to you. Now, I'm boring, and we get meal prep done at like 11 on a fucking Sunday because we're at home, chilling out. Sunday's admin day. Do the house cleaning, do the meal prep, all that stuff. Makes life easier. Angie meal preps, I do the house cleaning, okay? Or like vice versa. Keeps it easy. We're both sharing the chores. And we also always, like, I'll put on a podcast because I like to listen to podcasts. She'll put on music. So, like, I have headphones on, she'll put on music. So we're each doing our own thing. And it's just like, it's just part of the routine. You know, fuck, being an adult and boring. Now, I know it's easier for me because, again, like, it's just us two and some cats. We don't have kids. So obviously you've got to work around with what you can, but these are just some tips that I'm sharing with you guys that also could help, right? But I think that's about it. Like, honestly, I wanted to keep this one quite short for you guys, just to give you some nutrition tips. So hopefully that gives you guys just a little bit of insight of certain things you can do to make your life a little bit easier when it comes to meal prepping, when it comes to weighing and tracking and measuring food. Yeah, just those little things. If there's any questions that you guys actually have in regards to nutrition stuff that you'd like me to cover on a podcast, I can do another Q&A, which I can cover more stuff in like this. So just shoot me a message on Instagram at tysonthetrainerr. And if you haven't gotten the Good Enough Guide yet, you guys should click the link below and check out the Good Enough Guide because it gives you all the tips you need in order to get results without fucking wasting all your energy and time. So guys, until next time, I'll speak to you then.